started off working for Johnson Controls, and then went into telecom. Then I worked for Nortel and Ericsson, and then we started our own business and ran it for a while. And with kids, that kind of changed everything. Janet was the brains behind the operation, and and she wanted to stay home with the kids, and I wanted her to. So we shut that down, and I went to work for WorldCom. And I was there 4.5 years, and I pat myself on the back. That was the best, career-wise, that was the best tenure I'd had. I was there for 4.5 years, and I'll be honest with you, career's not important to me. As long as we can pay the bills, the family's the only thing I really care about. It's a great place for me to work. It was 8 to 5, coming home, help coach soccer. Very blessed for a long time. We were able to, we were working towards early retirement and land in Arkansas, and kids going to a good college, and some of those kind of things. All of a sudden, when the rug's pulled out from under you, you're just ill prepared. So basically, we just cashed in whatever stock we had accumulated. The kids' college funds, I'm just ashamed about that, but it was keep the house or, cash in the money that you set aside for their college, and hope to work hard and make it back up. Unemployment helps immensely, but you can only draw that for 6 months, and so that runs out. So we're pretty much, I think on paper we're probably bankrupt. So, these people should take great pride in their bonuses and their Lexus and their red Corvettes and, all those things that they work so hard to get and keep, because if they're that valuable to them, then I hope they enjoy them. But, yeah, so we'll just start again. That's kind of the way it is. The story started from day one. I'm a terrible judge of character. I'm one of those, I always assume that people are, good and decent and forthright and honest and all that stuff. And a lot of people want you to think that, and then it turns out maybe they're not all that. It's lip service when they talk about character and leadership and all those things. At that point, I hate to say it, they've sold out. Now, there are a lot of good executives, so don't get me wrong, but the ones that we were dealing with, no, they weren't that caliber. And it's pretty sad when people come home from work and feel like they need to shower off because of what they've seen and what they've done and what they're not able to talk about.
But eventually he moved out of the one group that I thought was a problem. Unfortunately, he still had cross ties, where they still had to work with each other. And that's unsettling.
That stuff all started, and I may or may not like it, but it's not illegal, and there's just a lot of that stuff that went on, and so, they, as they just keep pushing the envelope, and at some point you're confronted with, I know this is tax fraud, I know this is an SEC violation, and I just can't turn my head and look the other way. I didn't just go running to get these boys in trouble. I spoke to each one of them and said, look, what you're doing, I know we've had, difficulties in the past, and I'd gotten in trouble for, pointing out double billings and potential kickbacks and a lot of this other stuff before. I'd gotten in trouble for that, but I said, look, you've crossed the line here. Somebody will go to jail, and somebody should go to jail. Generally speaking, everybody wrote emails and said, well, we're being forced to do this, and kind of covered themselves, but at some point somebody had to give the directive, and the bad news was everybody was going to follow it. I just sent very sharp notes up the chain of command saying, look, I don't like that this is being done. I've got project engineers that report to me, and the vendors are calling them and saying, we delivered $1 million worth of equipment to you. You expedited the order. You begged us to get it in there and get it tested before the year was over because you got the money budgeted, and now you're telling us you're not going to pay us. Everybody was warned, just properly escalated, said, look, this is just slimy, and it's wrong, and we need to pay these folks, and nothing came of it. The second email that came out, when I got it, I was like, oh no. It just said, we want you to take hours that are entered by people as capital time and charge to a capital asset and charge it to expense projects, which is just fraud. It's just flat out fraud. And so, I went back, we'd already had conversations, and I'm like, look, this is not wrong. This is go to jail kind of wrong. And the answer was, shut up and do it. That's when I went over everybody's heads. And so all this quickly got reversed in about 12 hours, which in the corporate world, it takes you 3 months to order a box of Kleenex. They waited until the first layoff came along. The letter you get says, oh, as a result of reorganization, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was a result of my whistleblowing that I got fired. I don't know anybody who just wakes up one day, this is in retrospect, and can't find a job for 14 months, can survive. It was the worst possible time for us to be laid off. Sometimes I wonder how we made it. It's been impossible. It's been difficult. At the same time, it's one of the best experiences of our lives. I was home for the first four months of my new daughter's after she was born.
And it's so easy just to say it was tough, but living through it was almost impossible. Knowing when it first happened, I knew I was pregnant. He didn't know yet. I eventually had to tell him that and hope that everything would be okay. Kim's a very optimistic person, always just very optimistic, life of the party. Just, you can't hardly get him down. He just kept telling me, I'm going to have a job in a month. I'm going to do this, by summer we're going to have this. I didn't want to say anything to be pessimistic about that, but the economy just kept getting worse, not better. And knowing that I was pregnant, couldn't just go out and go to work like I wanted to, like I would have liked to. It was even harder.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got through, to be honest with you. Once you figure out that they're keeping you from getting a job, that when you've done all you can, you've got a great resume, and then all of a sudden you figure out that they call to check the references, and number one, either the person they called refuses to call them back, and so 2 weeks later, when they haven't been contacted, the job's filled and they've moved on because the red flag's gone up, or when you figure out that they can say, oh, we're sorry, we're in litigation with Mr. Emigh right now, and we can't comment. It's not many people are going to jump up and say, oh, gee, I want to hire that guy. He's suing his last employer. Yeah, I tell you, I've got a great family and a strong family, and it's marvelous to me to see, because I came home, told the kids, set them down, I said, look, sometime in your life you're going to be faced with the decision that I was, and you get to decide what you'll do, and I don't want to be like them. I want to be different. And my daughter hugged me and said, I'm glad you're my daddy. It was very difficult on him, and I just found him crying on his bed alone one time, and said, what's wrong, son? And he said, well, I'm going to miss Caitlin. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And he'd seen a movie where poor kids were sent to different homes. I was like, son, understand, that will never happen with us. But, that's something the little 7-year-old boy shouldn't have to worry about. They're like ducks, just flow right off of them. They learned a great lesson that it's worth standing up and doing the right thing. To my knowledge, the best-selling book in the world today is still the Bible. And I know this. Ultimately, good triumphs over evil.
It's got a lot of integrity. He has a lot of integrity, a lot of morals, and those are things you don't always find in corporate America today, and so they don't mix, like oil and water.
This is probably not going to be happily ever after. I mean, these stories don't turn out where you win a large judgment and retire and live happily ever after. What happens is the system pounds you into the ground, and ultimately, what kind of person do you want to be? And my family's learned that lesson. I've learned that lesson. Hopefully, some other people can. I think stand strong. Be courageous. Be bold. Be the kind of person who you dream of being. I think it used to be whistleblowers were kind of looked down upon and thought it was, just disgruntled former employees and just mad because they were kicked out of corporations. But there are just so many more good people out there who wake up, want to work hard, do the right thing. People walk into convenience stores, steal $200, they do hard time. Executives steal millions of dollars out of corporations, and they feel like they should be able to walk away, and it should apply to these corporations. When they blatantly and fraudulently and they intentionally hurt families like me and mislead people, why should they be able to walk away from that? Everybody's like, oh, this is the best thing for your case. I'm going to be on CNN, I've got a documentary, front page of a newspaper article, and that's the worst part of it all. We'd hoped to at least recoup some money through the court systems, but that's one of the parts of the scam. Here we go. They hide behind bankruptcy laws, and now that's happened in the past. This time, I think the president's involved, and everybody's talking about jail time. And if in fact they committed these acts knowingly and fraudulently, well, that's the Justice Department should deal with them appropriately.